But here is what some people were talking about on this program. The other little episode they were talking about, LA Knight was arrested outside AJ Styles' house, I guess in suburban Gainesville, Georgia, or wherever he's living these days. And where do I even start? Why do they do things like this if they're going to make it so preposterous that you can't believe it? And I mean, even, let's face it, I didn't like the Austin Pillman home invasion gun angle thing because the gun and the milking of the gun and then the gun firing, but the lights being out and women screaming. I mean, it was typical 90s Vince McMahon drama, but it looked like a goddamn documentary of the Kennedy assassination compared to the phoniness of this. Why are you going to go to this length if you're not trying to make people believe it? And is there any way anybody could have believed this?
I have to say, AJ's jacked. I've never seen him look like this before.
But the production here, have you seen? Certainly, you've seen people be arrested and taken away in this amount of time before. I know they were editing this, but for those of you who didn't see it, AJ Styles is at home preparing for WrestleMania with a camera crew doing interviews with him, right? And so he just has started, well, it's going to be a great night at WrestleMania or whatever, when there's a car horn honking outside his house and you can hear it. And they'll say, bust. And immediately AJ gets up to go see what the fuck is going on. And for one thing, I've been in shoots where the subject that is wired up doesn't be the one to get up. It's the fucking assistants or the audio guy or somebody is going to go out and see what the fuck. But also this camera crew is here. It's pitch black at night. They've come on at late hours to shoot this, and they just happen to be there when LA Knight pulls up in front of AJ Styles' horn. AJ Styles' house, and he's the one honking the car horn.
He had a nice horn.
He had a very nice horn. And he was tooting his own horn there. and they just get in a fight. Right? And they're editing like they get in a fight, but then within moments, it would have to be, because they're still fucking fighting, the cops come. I say cops in quotation marks because suddenly you see not only the camera crew that's there to shoot interviews with AJ, and they're shooting this fight that he's gotten into in his front yard, but now they cut to the goddamn body camera footage of the cops when the cops jumping out of his car door. We've cut to him. So not only are they feeding their fucking local law enforcement video monitoring service, but also they're feeding fucking Fox Network. And they break up the fight and they cuff and stuff, as Dean Hill used to say, LA Knight, and they even had a camera in the cop car. So that you can, but then when they come out of the clip, they say, well, this was, yesterday when AJ was at home, but LA Knight was released because AJ declined to press charges. Tell me, did you see anything that was believable in terms of a real life incident about this particular piece of business they showed us?
None of it was really believable. The cops looked a little more believable than the usual indie workers that run out there pretending to be cops and take perfect flat back bumps.
Yeah, they didn't look bad. They didn't look bad. Looked a lot better than Heyman's off-duty fucking suspended NYPD guys.
And that's it. The police department have a great production department. I have to say, they just have a great camera crew and they do a good job.
Everybody now has a camera on their front doorbell, right? The Ring thing.
Right.
Stace has got this deal hooked up where if I'm in the kitchen, not only can I watch The Rifleman on the TV screen on my refrigerator, but if I punch another button, I can look at the cameras around. I can look at the camera of the backyard where Harley's sitting there by the fucking umbrella. and keep an eye on everything, right? So everybody's got a camera. So why did they need to put a camera crew there so they could wink, wink, nod, nod, be there when LA Knight decides to pull up and cause a disturbance? You've already got people are seeing TV shows now where they get the ring footage from there's this guy's doorbell footage of the fucking 18-wheeler sliding down the goddamn hill in the ice storm, whatever. So, what about if goddamn a few weeks ago, maybe AJ Styles has said, fuck you, LA Knight, I'll fight you. I'll meet you at my, designated place. Meet me in Georgia at such and such at wherever, right? And I'll come alone and you come alone and we'll have the camera there to see what happens. We're going to have this fight. And then they go to the fucking place and LA Knight doesn't turn up. And AJ Styles is sitting there with the cameraman crowing. See, I told you he's a yellow coward. He's yellow. He wasn't going to show up. And then they get a text message from LA Knight, car trouble, trying to get there. Bullshit is what AJ Styles says. He just scared. He's yellow. He's a coward. And then at the end of the thing, you have AJ Styles sitting there crowing when LA Knight pulls up on the back of a tow truck and jumps off and they get in a goddamn fight. Right? And then we come to find out that LA Knight's car wouldn't start because somebody gimmicked his car, and it probably was AJ Styles. And AJ was calling LA Knight yellow. So now LA Knight can come in the middle of the night outside of AJ Styles' house and take a bucket of yellow paint and start painting fuck you on the hood of AJ's car sitting in his driveway. They can blur out the fuck and paints a yellow stripe down AJ Styles' fucking cars by. AJ sees this, comes out, they get in a fight, and they turn a bucket of paint over his head or whatever. And you got it on the security footage. Nobody believes the cops. And nobody believes they just happened to do this while there's a camera crew in the living room. Do you remember the Smoky Mountain footage of the Rock and Roll Express and the gangsters getting in the bar fight?
Yeah, I believe so.
It was a real bar. And I'm trying to think, was it
This was a real house.
Well, it was it was either a friend of New Jack's or a friend of Ricky Morris, one of the guys. But we had ground rules. Is that you can't go over the bar and tear up the back bar, but you turn the tables over, the chairs, and this and that. So we got a few guys to be there to look like that it was open. And there's the goddamn gangsters with their belts, and they're celebrating and hooting, and the Rock and Roll Express bust in and jump them in their own backyard, and they have a big fight. And we didn't have a camera crew there. We took one camera, and we put it up in the corner on top of a shelf where it looked like the security camera. And we even put time code in the corner. And, you can see the time counter rolling. So it looked like and we did it in black and white. So it looked like the old time 90s bar security cameras. We said, my God, look at the footage we were able to obtain of what happened when the Rock and Roll Express went after the guy. And they had a fight in a bar. But if you can't explain why the camera is there, and you can't make it look legitimate with either the talent that you have in the thing or the extras, the people on the periphery that you're able to get, even if it's a real cop, if the cop has a smile on his face, you're blowing the fucking deal. So the first and foremost thing is always figure out how can we have footage of this that we did not obtain, that was done by sheer happenstance. Remember when the heavenly bodies, the hooded figures that I was leading, attacked Lance Storm and Chris Jericho, the Thrill Seekers, for the angle in Knoxville? It wasn't even Tom and Jimmy. I couldn't get them. They were on the road with the WWF, so it was Rex King and Steve Dahl under ski masks. But the way we got footage of the parking lot attack was there was a woman in the parking lot with her little 6-7-year-old daughter and a video camera shooting video of the girl with the wrestlers as they drove up. And you see with the referee and one of the boom, and then, oh, and here comes the thrill seekers. And suddenly, screech. And the reason why it was a woman behind the camera was because subconsciously, if it had been a grown adult man behind the camera, people would have been spending time thinking, why isn't he fucking helping them? So we eliminated that fucking caveat. And then you've got a minute and a half parking lot attack taken by a random bystander. You know, this was before the days when everybody had a camera in their pockets, so you had to get creative, but it can be done. Does this make sense, Brian? That why not, if you're going to all that trouble and expense of putting something on tape to put on television, make it look somewhat credible?
I've always believed that. I mean, there are plenty of examples all throughout wrestling where for no good reason there's a second camera all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or a funny angle, or you know, a Groucho Marx take where the person looks at the camera. It's always unnecessary, and you know, they could have done what they did. You know, if it had all been captured on the Ring camera, that was an interesting idea. Because everyone could kind of relate to that.
Yeah, most people don't have TV crews in their house as guests.
Well, that's the other thing. Or if WWE had said, this isn't live, this is something that happened, and we were able through the Freedom of Information Act to get this footage.
Live. They did say it happened yesterday or whenever it happened.
Well, we got this other footage from the police, and we spliced it together to tell the complete story.
Well, but then again, are the police body cameras in color high def? It was a great looking shot. I've seen some real body cam footage they released down here every time the cops shoot somebody, and it don't look that good.
There's a Ring commercial on TV right now as we speak, and this footage is blurry. And this is their footage they're using in the commercial.
But anyway, I mean, you know, you got to, I guess, give them some points for trying, but god damn. It don't look that way when the cops come and arrest you. And also they would have been there for a while taking statements. They're not just going to rush off with this guy. Okay, we got him. We'll see you later. Sorry to bother you.
Have they lost the momentum with LA Knight? Is it on hold? Is it something you can get back? What do you think? Because he was, I mean, for a while there, he was the hottest thing on the show.
Yeah, and then we had return of bigger stars. We had, I don't really think anybody's given two shits about AJ at this point. If LA Knight's with AJ, it's
Well, you say return of bigger stars, that's part of the issue. Bigger stars returned, and none of them were working with him.
Yes. And all of a sudden now, you know, it was him and Roman in October, November, and now it's him and AJ.